Good morning, residents, families, and friends of Glendale. As mayor of our village, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2022 Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. In fact, it's really a special pleasure to welcome you to our ceremony, which is preceded by our first parade in 3 years. Isn't that great? I truly wish I could say that the COVID pandemic that has kept us from holding parades these last couple of years is behind us. We all know that's not the case. But what we found is that Glendale and our nation and our state have made real progress in dealing with this pandemic. And I think we are sufficiently comfortable now to invite people to attend in person. For those who prefer not to, we are also live streaming this over YouTube, so people will be able to see it no matter what. So let us begin, as we always do, with the singing of the national anthem. I would ask gentlemen to remove your hats, and everybody place your hands over your hearts and face the flag.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Leah Bracknell. Leah is a senior at Princeton High School, and I think she is just one more example of the fantastic music program that they have at that school. So thank you, Leah. And let me also extend our thanks to Glendale Police Officer Gregory Schnell, who began this ceremony with the stirring rendition of To the Colors. Just wait just a moment here. Okay. As we Americans like to do on our holidays, we're going to spend a lot of time today enjoying good food, family, and games and other recreation. And that's altogether appropriate. But for now, and just for the next hour or so, we're going to take time to recognize that this holiday is not just a celebration. It's also a time to remember and honor those who have served in our military, fought in our wars, and in some cases made the ultimate sacrifice. This ceremony and far more we owe them. In fact, we owe them the lives that we lead and the freedoms we enjoy in the village, this great country we call the United States of America. Now, I'm aware, and it's been pointed out to me, that strictly speaking, this day is to honor our fallen. And veterans are honored on Veterans Day, and that's great. But in Glendale, we have always honored both groups on this day, and I fully intend to continue that tradition today. I will now ask Pastor Kendall Logan of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church to lead us in our opening prayer.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you again for this day, for this grand day. We thank you, God, for waking us up to new mercies. God, your mercies are new every day. We thank you for this gathering of those in the Glendale village. We thank you, God, for just this day of celebration, of coming together for eating, sharing. But then, God, we thank you for those who fought for our country, those who died for the cause. God, we're just praying for those who have memories of those who fought in the country. God, just bless them, and God, bless this day. And God, again, we ask that you would bless families, bless our children, keep them safe, keep them from all hurt, harm, and danger in the time that we live. But God, we love you, and we bless your name. We thank you again for this grand day. In Jesus' name we do pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Logan. And let me add that just recently I was at the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church to help celebrate Pastor Logan's 25th year leading that congregation. And I can tell you it's an honor for me. Now, among the many responsibilities of being the mayor, some good, some bad, but one of the most pleasurable is having the chance to recognize citizens who have contributed significantly to the history and character of our village. As I considered my decision for one of those occasions, which is the Grand Marshal for today's parade, I thought of the wonderful season that the Cincinnati Bengals had last season and how fortunate our village is to have 3 former Bengals living in our village. I was very pleased to ask longtime resident and a great asset to the village, Bob Johnson, to accept this recognition by serving as the Grand Marshal in the parade. Our other former Bengals unfortunately had other conflicting obligations, but I think we can all agree that Bob is a great representative of the team. As we all know, Bob was the first player to be drafted by the newly formed Cincinnati Bengals in 1968. He played 11 seasons for the Bengals, and among his many honors, he was an AFL All-Star in 1968. Bob's ties to Glendale go deep. Bob and his lovely wife Jane and their daughter Anna have lived in the village for many years. Bob serves on the Glendale Community Improvement Corporation, which is dedicated to improving the finances of the village. Another thing about Bob that maybe we forget, the guy is just as tough as you would expect an NFL lineman to be. On Saturday, he took a fall at home and was banged up pretty badly. He was in the hospital over the weekend, but he called me yesterday and said he wanted to be in the parade. I wanted to put him on the concussion protocol, but he said no way. And so, Bob, all I can say is, and he's up there somewhere, Bob, thank you for serving, for your career, and for serving the village. Now, as I said, the main purpose of this day is to honor the veterans who in the past have fought in our wars and protected us. But we turn now to looking to the future and looking at some of our younger residents and what they have done. And I'm going to begin with our younger residents who are elementary school students. They wrote essays on the meaning of the Memorial Day to them. And a number of our residents, including Tim Kilgore, read those essays and selected those which they felt best described the day. So I will now ask Tim to come forward and present the awards.
Good morning. Today we recognize 3 young authors in the 34th Annual Glendale Memorial Day Essay Contest. The contest has become an iconic part of our Memorial Day celebration. one that is eagerly anticipated by Glendale 4th, 5th, and 6th grade elementary students, providing an opportunity to pause and examine the importance of the lives and efforts of our American soldiers and the impact that they have had on the freedom that we enjoy. The panel of judges deliberated to choose winning essays from all the wonderful student submissions. Papers recounted family traditions and shared acknowledgement and appreciation of the quality of life and privilege that we as Americans enjoy because of the sacrifice of our fallen heroes. Each of the 3 winning authors receives a beautiful medal to commemorate the day. 3 papers have been chosen. 3rd place is awarded to Amelia Simpson, a 4th grader at Bethany School. Amelia, are you in the crowd? If you would, come forward. Thank you, Amelia, for your essay. 2nd place is awarded to Molly Zeker, a 4th grader at Bethany School. Molly is unable to be with us today as well. But finally, 1st place is awarded to Evan Starks, a 6th grader at St. Gabriel's Consolidated Schools. Would you please come forward? Please give your attention to Evan as he reads his essay entitled, "What Does Memorial Day Mean to Me?"
What does Memorial Day mean to me? Memorial Day is a holiday that Americans celebrate and made to honor the men and women that were active in the military and have died. I remember when I was little, every Memorial Day, I would participate in the Glendale parade as a Cub Scout, and then we would go to the Wall of Veterans. Memorial Day to me is what we honor to the men and women who died serving in the military. My grandpa, Emmanuel S. Littles, is an active member in the military. He was in the Marines and fought in the Vietnam War. He was ranked as a CPO or corporal. He was stationed in Kansas City, Missouri, and was installed in North Carolina. He received the Rifle Marksmanship Badge and National Defense Service Medal. The Vietnam War lasted for 20 years, 1955 to 1975. There were many deaths and injured and wounded during the war. We were very fortunate that my grandpa wasn't hurt and was able to come back home to his family. My grandpa, Emmanuel S. Littles, is on the Glendale War Memorial Wall. My grandpa unfortunately passed away on September 13, 2021, and is currently buried in the Dayton National Cemetery in Dayton, Ohio. This is what Memorial Day means to me, which is to honor Grandpa and the other men and women who served in the military who lost their life.
Thank you, Tim, and congratulations and thank you to Evan for a beautiful remembrance of why we're here this day. In keeping with the youthful part of the program, I'm now going to ask Patrick Rose, who is president of the Harry Whiting Brown Community Center, to present the Harry Whiting Brown Community Service Scholarship Award.
Good morning. So the Harry Whiting Brown Community Service Scholarship Fund is a one-time only scholarship available to Glendale residents in the 11th or 12th grade who live in Glendale and have demonstrated a sustained commitment to community service in Glendale or other communities. And our recipient this year certainly qualifies for that. So Rebecca Jane Ehlers is a senior, was a senior this past year at Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, and she completed over 180 hours of Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, and of service hours, and right before COVID impacted all of us, she won the President's Volunteer Service Award Gold in 2019 and 2020 for over 100 hours of community service that year. Also, she has assisted at Stewart Elementary in a second grade classroom. And she's worldly. She's been to Mexico, or she's going to Mexico to serve orphans and vulnerable children, and I believe she's traveled otherwise, yes. So Rebecca plans on attending the University of Dayton this fall. And I'm very pleased to be able to, the Harry Whiting Brown Community Center and I are very pleased to present you with this year's scholarship award and wishes you very well on your path in life.
Thank you.
I'll leave that up and you can take that.
Hi. Hi, my name is Rebecca Ehlers, and I graduated from Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy yesterday. I would like to thank Harry Whiting Brown Community Center for giving me the opportunity to apply and receive this scholarship. I am thankful to have grown up in a community that values and invests in their next generation. Next year, I will be attending the University of Dayton to study exercise and movement, leading to a career in athletic training. I would also like to thank my parents, Chuck and Bobby Joe Ehlers, for always pushing me to be the best I can. Memorial Day is an important day to me because it shows how much people have loved our country. Some gave their lives so we could be standing here today in freedom. As part of the next generation, I think it is our duty to continue to love and celebrate America. I am proud to be an American today and always. Thank you so much, Harry Whiting Brown Community Center.
In some ways, that's one of my favorite parts of the ceremony today is it's a reminder that much as these kids can drive us nuts at sometimes, this country is in great hands when you see young people like Evan and Rebecca stepping forward and showing us their dedication to patriotism and scholarship. So I'm going to turn now back to our veterans, and each year we ask someone who has served in our military to come forward and share their thoughts on what military service means to them. This year we are fortunate to have as our speaker John Simons. John goes way back with Glendale. He attended Glendale Elementary School, graduated from Princeton High School. He graduated from the United States Naval Academy and served 6 years in surface warfare communications and naval intelligence. He rose to the rank of Navy lieutenant, which is the equivalent of an Army captain. John is married to Stacy DeGraffenried, who is currently the Chief Assistant Prosecutor in the Juvenile Division in Hamlin County. He is the father of 4 wonderful and accomplished young ladies, Claudia, Tatiana, Tiffany, and Jillian. John has an outstanding record of public service to Glendale and Princeton schools. He served as coach and mentor with Glendale Youth Sports for 5 years. He has served as a trustee and president of the Princeton Education Foundation from 2016 until the present. And as many of you know, he is currently serving as vice president of the Princeton School Board. I will now ask Lieutenant Simons to step forward and share with us some of his experiences and thoughts about military service.
It looks like it's hot out here. Is that correct? So if you agree with that, then I'll be brief. So Mayor Lofty, council, fellow board members, veterans, and citizens, thank you for allowing me to share my path of service with you on this beautiful Memorial Day in the great village of Glendale. I use the word great to describe Glendale because of what it was and what it has become. Glendale collectively has embraced its history, looked towards its future, and accepted citizens who desire to be a part of the village experience. So what is service? Well, service starts officially when you take an oath of office and you swear to defend the Constitution of the United States, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. So help you God. Unofficially, it began at my home with something called chores. I then learned that in life there is no free lunch or free anything. If I messed up, I had to clean up. If my brothers and my sister messed up, I had to clean up. And they had to clean up after me, so we all learned that we're not an island unto ourselves. So that was a good thing. I also learned service while attending Glendale Elementary. We used to raise the flag every day. We would recite the Pledge of Allegiance. We were taught civics and the importance of serving via student council, representing your fellow classmates. My path to service, I think Mayor Lofty mentioned, I went to the Naval Academy, and that was a wonderful thing at the time, I thought. But prior to that time, my father took several minutes to explain his service legacy. He was one of 8 children, 5 boys, 3 girls. Out of those 5 boys, 4 served in the service, 2 Navy, 2 Army. And out of my aunts, or the girls, 2 of the 3 married into the service, 1 Air Force and 1 Navy. So from there, it became an interesting perspective, and I always talked to them to find out why they served. And they just said, because that's the thing to do. My first cousin in my generation enlisted in the Air Force and eventually retired as an Air Force major. His son, only son, Wiley, enlisted in the Navy and spent several years there. My oldest daughter, Jillian, had an appointment to the academy and decided to enlist instead because she said she wanted to do things the hard way. So that worked out for her. She wound up graduating from Harvard Law School and is now a practicing attorney. So that worked out for her. And then lastly, I asked my 7th grader, she's a rising 7th grader, if she was ready to pick up the tradition. And she says, Navy? I said, yes. And she said, do they have hair salons on board ship? So she said, let me know when they do that. I describe my service and my fellow veteran service as a sacrifice of time, talent, and treasure for others. No one enters the military service expecting to get rich. You might get some nice bonuses nowadays, but that's just for you to put in your savings account to get started. Service is also isolation. You're often isolated from family, familiar friends, and comfort. Holidays are spent half a world away, standing guard duty at midnight in the cold. And for those of us who grew up around here, isolation is also distancing yourself from childhood friends who might have a propensity to use recreational drugs, because when you come back from vacation, the Navy brings out the dogs to sniff your car. So this is from before Facebook, obviously. And if you don't keep in contact, you lose contact. So you spend the rest of your life trying to get back in contact with certain people. But it's part of the isolation that you have to do. The Navy had a 0 drug tolerance policy, and that's what we had to abide by. The next part of service is what I call commitment. Now, back in 1978, there's a few of you that were here And you know that I had a very fashionable hairstyle back then. It was called the Afro. I probably had at least 12 inches of hair. And 2 days before I went to the academy, I had my oldest brother, Mike, cut my head bald and then shave it with a razor. To me, that was commitment. You go to Tri-County Mall, you go to amusement park, people are looking at your bald head and saying, what's wrong with this dude? So, but then I went to the academy in my first year. The faculty brought in some recently repatriated POWs from Vietnam. And I soon learned what commitment looked like in the real world. Four I distinctly remember were Admiral Lawrence, Admiral Stockdale, Captain Stratton, and future Senator John McCain. And they shared with us their ordeals. Now I'm 17, turning 18 years old, and listening to their stories of brutal treatment for years during their imprisonment, that was eye-opening. And so for about 5 seconds, I said, well, maybe I could go to Miami and play basketball. Maybe I could go here. But I quickly shut that down because that's not why I volunteered in the first place, and they weren't going to scare me off. Those men never forgot that they were naval officers, and all of them had been in the prime of their life, physically, emotionally, mentally, when they were captured. So I don't want you to think that service is a negative experience, but it is life-changing. So service for me has been very positive. You work with people that have a similar goal, they have a similar love of the nation, of their hometowns, their families, and then you learn to have a brotherly love for each other. As I say, steel sharpens steel. We had diversity even 40-some years ago. And my roommate, I had a guy named Barry. He served his time, bought a couple of car dealerships, lives in California. I had a guy named Troy who became the leading admiral for all of naval aviation, which means that the Top Gun movie and the actual Top Gun command reported into him. And then I had a really good friend locally, Steve Fair, who attended St. Gabe's, and his family lived in Springdale, and he and I spent a lot of time together. So we forged a common purpose, and we got along well, despite all the egos in one room. You develop true self by establishing your confidence in your ability to lead, and you learn new skills under real-life conditions. And one of the most important things I learned is servant leadership, where you make sure that the people that report into you, whether they're military or civilian or fortified, before you yourself receive your own fortifications. It's not about me, or it's not about the leader. It has to be about the greater team. I developed a greater faith, not just in religion that I chose, but faith in your team, because you depended on your team for your very life in a lot of instances for them to be competent. And you believed in a system to make it work. Wasn't perfect by any means, but it worked. And one of the more interesting things was they give you a security clearance where they tell you secret stuff and they actually expect you to not tell anyone. So you go to a dinner party, everybody has a clearance, but not everybody's clearance is the same. And so you talk around a whole lot of things. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a party like that, but it gets to be a lot of fun. You read something in the Washington Post, and you say, hey, I'm with the Agricultural Command. Well, you know there's no Agricultural Command. That's a code word for something. And you're not even part of it. You just throw that out there to see what's going to happen at the party. So pretty soon people that are really with the Agricultural Command are coming up to you. So that was fun. That was fun. And just to make sure that you were actually keeping the secrets, they'd give you a polygraph. They'd strap you in a chair, attach all these wires, and ask you all types of embarrassing questions. That was fun. That's how we described fun back in the day. So looking back over my time in the Navy, I feel that I actually contributed to the health and well-being of this great nation. Not only as a citizen and not only as a taxpayer, but I and the men and women that I served with, as well as veterans, they're willing to pay the ultimate price to keep our nation free. And that freedom means the freedom to help other nations, the freedom to make mistakes, and yes, the freedom to correct those mistakes and move forward. Thank you, Glendale, and God bless the USA.
Thank you, John, for reminding us what it's in person. It's like to be in the military. Glendale is proud to call you one of its own. I'm now going to ask Leah Bracknell to return and lead us in the singing of America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Leah. One of the highlights of the ceremony is always the flyover by planes flown by a team from the Cincinnati River Rats, who we've already seen a couple of times so far practicing. Give me a minute here. For those of you watching, we should see the planes come over fairly soon. We try to get them to come around the playing of taps, but their schedule it's hard to have that kind of precision. For those of you watching the ceremony indoors, the flyover will be visible from anywhere in the village if you step out, or for that matter, you can watch it on YouTube. Before the flyover begins, let me just tell you a little bit about what you're going to see. First, you'll see a full formation of the planes go over, and then they will come back. And as they come back and fly over us, one plane will peel off, and that plane symbolizes the missing man, the soldier or military person who did not come back and made the ultimate sacrifice. At this point, I turn to the most solemn part of our ceremony, and that is, are they coming now? Okay, nope, those aren't ours. We hope they're friends, they're allies at least, yeah. Maybe from Wyoming, I don't know. So we turn to the most solemn part of our ceremony, and we do this every year, and I expect we will do it every year as long as the village of Glendale exists, and that is the reading of the names of the fallen. So please listen as longtime boatswain's mate Michael Fassolt reads the names of those who gave their lives in the service of our country. Mike's reading will be followed by a rifle salute, and as longtime residents know, that will be a good time to put your hands over the ears of your ears, your children's ears, or your pets. After the salute, Officer Schnell will return and play taps.
It is my honor to present to you the names of the men of the village of Glendale who has given their lives while in service of our country. Private First Class Morris L. J. Durgan, 24. As he was getting on the train to begin his Army duty, he remarked that the war would be over soon. When asked why he was so sure, he said that he had never held a job longer than a month in his life. Unfortunately, Private Durgan was killed June 24th, 1918 in France. His body was returned home and he is buried in Oak Hill Cemetery. Eric Sand, Sergeant Pilot, commissioned in the Royal Norwegian Air Force in Canada, April 1942. He was killed at the age of 23, May 22nd, 1943. He was a fighter pilot flying a Spitfire in the 2nd Norwegian Fighter Squadron in England and flew 30 combat missions. Ralph Harrison Osborne, 2nd Lieutenant, entered the service June 1942, died at the age of 26 on August 2nd, 1943. He was an Army Air Corps pilot, was reported missing after his 7th mission over Germany. Subsequently, his death was confirmed, and posthumously he was awarded the Air Medal for exceptionally meritorious achievement in aerial combat against the enemy. Charles Steadman Garber, Captain, grew up on Oak Street in Glendale, was a pilot in the Air Transport Command, flying unarmed in a C-54, was shot down by mistake by a British carrier-based fighter plane between the Azores and Casablanca on March 25th, 1944, at the age of 26. Frederick A. Smith, Private First Class, joined the Marines September 10th, 1942. Assigned to the 1st Marine Division, he grew up on Jefferson Avenue in Glendale. At the age of 20, he was killed in the action on Peleliu Island, October 6, 1944. John D. Egglestone, Private First Class in the 28th Infantry Division, entered the service October 23, 1942. While in the Army Infantry, he was killed in action at the age of 22 on December 6, 1944, in Germany on the first day of the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium, where he is buried in the Henry Chappell American Cemetery. Leroy W. Warwick, Sergeant, 570th Bomber Squadron, entered service July 10, 1943. He was a turret gunner on a bomber in the Army Air Corps in Europe. Reported missing in action February 14, 1945, of which confirmation of his death was received 6 months later. Arthur Curran, Corporal, Technician 5th Class, entered the service June 23, 1943, stationed in France, and died as a result of an accident at the age of 32, May 18, 1945. Edwin Lockett Abiley, Private First Class, entered the Marines December 12, 1943, was killed in the action for the island of Okinawa at the age of 19 on June 20th, 1945. His mother lived on Sharon Avenue at the time of his death. Joseph Lloyd Hull, Soundman 3rd Class, stationed on a Navy minesweeper, was killed by a direct hit from an enemy Navy shell near Borneo at the age of 19 on June 21st, 1945. Joe Hull's family lived at 885 Congress Avenue in Glendale when he entered the service. Meredith Spears, after service in Australia, died in an Army hospital March 1946 in Colorado after his return to the United States. Christopher Dyer, Lance Corporal, member of Lima Company, United States Marine Corps, was killed in action August 3, 2005 in Iraq at the age of 19.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Schnell. Thank you to everyone else who participated in that very moving part of our ceremony. We're expect the river rats any moment now. Okay, I get a nod that we do expect them soon. In the meantime, I'm going to just give some shout outs here to people who've made this day so special. First, I want to thank veterans Steve Locker and Craig Wolf, who initiated, raised funds for, and guided the restoration of a lot of the stonework and other work around our memorial here. If you recall how it looked before, you will see a great improvement. And principally, one of the biggest ones is we moved the flag from the tower there to the center. And here they come. Okay. Thanks. Shout out to those in the Cincinnati River Rats who always make for an exciting conclusion to our ceremony. I would like to next, though, welcome and thank two very special first-time participants in our parade and ceremony. First, there are the Blue Star Mothers of America, the Queen City chapter. The Blue Star Mothers was founded during World War II and is comprised of mothers and others who fill that role and who have children serving in the military, Guard or reserves, or children who are veterans. The Blue Star Mothers support each other and their children while promoting patriotism. Maybe I can ask them just to come forward here. Come on.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here today. We support our sons and daughters and each other, and we're very proud of their service and this chance today to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We also want to thank the Cincinnati Fire Museum and the Good Timers Foundation for allowing us to add the 9/11 steel monument to our parade. The 9/11 steel is a traveling monument that is a real-life artifact from the Twin Towers. It is the only traveling piece of the World Trade Center steel in the country, and its mission is to keep alive the memory of events of 9/11 and to pay tribute to the 9/11 first responders. If there's anyone here from the Fire Museum or the Good Timers Foundation who would like to just come forward, I'd like to acknowledge them. Okay, we got a wave out there. Thank you. My final thank you goes to a person who was very important this year to the ceremony, and that is Hildy Bonhaus. This is Hildy's second year organizing the village's recognition of Memorial Day, and is her first year managing the parade, and I must say she has done an outstanding job. Thank you, Hildy, from everyone in the village. You are truly among the very special people who make Glendale a very special place. And with that, I declare the 2022 Glendale Memorial Ceremony closed. And thanks to all of you who attended and tuned into the ceremony. And go ahead and enjoy the rest of your holiday. Thank you. Oh, do I have, somebody's calling me?